Welcome back to First Take. The NFL heads overseas this weekend to Dublin, Ireland for the first time, where the Vikings will take on Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. Rodgers tied for second in the NFL in passing touchdowns. And his head coach, Mike Tomlin, is pleased with how that bad man has been performing so far this season. Let's hear from him.
Is he what you expected coming into this season?
He certainly has been, and not only in terms of his play, but in terms of his relationship with the game, how he interacts with teammates, how he loves the preparation process. All of those things have been double thumbs up, and so it's reasonable to expect the in-stadium performance to mirror that.
Mina, let's go to you first on this question. Across from Rodgers is Mr. Carson Wentz, who played well against the Cincinnati Bengals in Week 3. Which quarterback would you rather have in this matchup?
Carson Wentz.
My dog.
Oh, my God. My Lord.
A lot of it is competition. Just saying that. That's a big part of it. But Aaron Rodgers hasn't played well. I feel kind of crazy hearing folks say that the Steelers' passing offense looks fine. It's not fine. It's quite bad, in fact. It's all quick game. Am I wrong? It literally
but did you expect? I guess. Did you expect it to look better?
Yeah.
Really?
When he's pressured, he's 28th in QBR.
Yeah.
When he has to hold on the football for more than 2.5 seconds, he's also 28th. He has an average depth of target of 5 yards. That is dead last in the NFL. It's fine. They should have lost, by the way, to the Patriots, who fumbled that game away. Mm-hmm. This offense isn't good enough.
Right.
What are you seeing? What are people seeing in this offense? They can't run the ball. Rodgers doesn't push the ball downfield very often. He doesn't. If he has to hold on to the ball for more than 2.5 seconds, it's dead.
I kind of think we all expected that, though. Like the Steelers' offense is operating how I expected it. Like
you're not disappointed watching the Steelers. You think this passing attack is fine?
I think that's what it is. Fine. I think it's fine. Fine. Like this offense is exactly what I thought it would be. Rodgers will get the ball out quick. They'll be fine in that. They can't protect. They can't run it. They can't throw it downfield. I'm way more disappointed than everything else.
That is an extremely low bar that you just laid out. They can't push the ball downfield. They can't run. That's
with all due respect. Although I get what you're saying about Rodgers, and I certainly am not enamored with what I'm seeing from my Steelers right now, we're talking about Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
Okay? This is his 6th game in 3 years. So what he went on the field against his dad. We came into the season wondering whether or not players on the defensive side of the ball for the Cincinnati Bengals should hide their names, shouldn't put their names on the back of their jerseys because they didn't want to be associated with their defense. That's how horrid the Bengals defense was perceived as being coming into this season. Now, I know they've been a little better than horrid since we've seen them over the first 3 games or so, but here's the bottom line. You're going up against the Bengals. You passed for 173 yards, a couple of touchdowns. I mean, you want a cookie? It's Carson Wentz that we're talking about here. We're going to really sit here with a straight face and say, we'd rather have Carson Wentz than Aaron Rodgers.
Against the Steelers defense?
Stephen A., this is a tough 38 minutes for you, okay?
Why?
One,
how is it?
It's not even a conversation who would you rather have this weekend.
Oh.
Because who you're with is the leading angle. One, against the Vikings defense.
I understand that part, but I'm just talking about the players. We get that Brian Flores and that defense is something real.
Well, that's the question.
But but I'm just talking about in terms of their abilities. Carson Wentz compared to Aaron Rodgers, what is there to write home about Carson Wentz about? That's all I'm saying.
Because I'm not playing tennis one-on-one with them. The question is, what quarterback do I want this weekend?
Right, but then I could easily say, hey, okay, I'm going to take Carson Wentz because he's got to go against the Steelers defense, whereas Aaron Rodgers
yeah.
the Vikings.
Quite literally.
That's what's going to happen.
That's what they're doing. Yeah, but that's
exactly what they're doing.
I was speaking about, I'm supposed to be enamored and awestruck over Carson Wentz.
No.
That's all I'm saying. That's where I was coming
Honestly,
from.
though, to me, the question, Dan, goes back to the question last week. Do you want Carson Wentz or J.J. McCarthy?
That's
the question.
That's the more debatable question.
And by the way, J.J. McCarthy wasn't much to write home about other than the fourth quarter against Chicago. Let's not be fools here.
Right, and I know you watch the game the way I do. I know you watch the game the way I do. We could watch that tape. Like, that wasn't all about Carson Wentz.
No.
Brian Flores was amazing.
Ridiculous.
Isaiah Rodgers made a ton of plays. Jordan Mason ran the football, and you saw why they went out and got. I'm not talking about that, but you look at that first drive, the competency, the level of professionalism, the way he
he went through his reads, right? Second to last drive of the first half. Got right back down there. You score again. Then you open the second half with another big drive. Like, we haven't seen that team look like that offensively over a prolonged period. And so what happens is, you are right. Carson Wentz in this matchup has a better matchup than Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Right. What happens when Carson Wentz plays well this week? Yeah. What happens when the offense looks good again this week? What happens when they win again this week? We have to have the conversation of, is it J.J. McCarthy or Carson Wentz going forward?
They're having that conversation in Minnesota. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I think they should. I think it's fair.
If you heard the way they're talking about it?
I would tell you this. The biggest difference, again, Christian Darrisaw being back mattered, but Carson Wentz got rid of the ball so much faster than JJ. I love JJ. I'm a huge fan of JJ. I think he's got a very bright future. The game was too fast for him for the most part when he was in there. Carson plays well this weekend, and then I think they play in London next week against a good football team. If he plays well again the next 2 weeks, they'll have a bye after that. There is no question about it that they will have that conversation.
Oh, the stuff that y'all bring up sometimes, because let me tell you something. That might be a discussion, but I find it hard to believe, and if I'm management, I got to have a discussion with my head coach, Kevin O'Connell. You let Sam Darnold walk out the door after throwing 35 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, throwing for over 4,300 yards last year. You sat up there. You didn't want Aaron Rodgers in the offseason. You wasn't thinking about anybody else. Why? Because of a rookie that never threw an NFL pass yet. Now, all of a sudden, because Carson Wentz looked relatively decent, you're going to tell me that J.J. McCarthy is in danger of not regaining the starting nod?
One, if you sign Sam Darnold, you don't have some of the pieces that you have because they rebuilt their offensive and defensive lines. So the money part of that was a part of that. They took him at 10 or 12, excuse me. And then the third thing is this. Daniel Jones took less money to go to Indy than Minnesota tried to retain Daniel Jones. So, like, I'm just telling you, I don't think it's, like, happening yet. But I surely think if he plays well the next 2 weeks.
The reason that they're having that conversation, and we're on agreement they are, is because the best unit on the field in this game is the Vikings defense.
No doubt.
That is a Super Bowl defense, and you can't waste a Super Bowl defense with incompetence.
Dan, of course, Dan is so all over the bar mitzvah circuit. Next week, you got pickup duties.
No, I had it this past
you had it then.
I always like pickup duty.
Really? It's late, though.
Yeah, not for me.
Oh, God, that stinks for the kids.
Not when I have to do it with my kids.
For the kids.
Yeah. Sometimes when, like, my kids' friends' moms will volunteer, I'll be like, I got it. Because you guys, you'll go there, you'll go, kids, come on. And they'll be like, can we 20 more minutes? And then 30, 40 minutes later, they finally come out. Me, I'm like, get in the car. All you and your friends. I'm not here to hang out. Like, so usually if it ends at 11, I show up at 10.
That is so bad for the kids. You do not want that.
They'll be fine.
Great idea.
They'll be fine.
Great idea.
They'll be fine.
Finish this sentence for both parties. What happens if the Chiefs fall to 1-3? What happens if the Ravens fall to 1-3?
If the Chiefs fall to 1-3, the real conversation of missing the playoffs becomes very apparent. Because here's the thing, the Chargers are staring at 7-0 in the face. The Chargers' schedule the next 4 games is very gettable. And so for a Chiefs team that's already lost to them and then would be sitting at 1-3, and not only that, you'd be 1-3 and assuming you haven't really done anything well on offense. This is a bottom 3 or bottom 4 offensive rushing unit if you take away Patrick's runs. They're middle of the pack in everything. And I know everyone continues to say Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice. Yes, and those are good players, but it's not going to revitalize their offense. I also would say this, like, if they fall to 1-3, the Broncos are staring at 3-1, the Chargers are staring at 4-0. We're having a very real conversation of, can they really miss the playoffs? With the Ravens, we've seen them play well. Like, we've seen them have 2 games against 2 very good opponents and play well, and it'd be a play here, a play there. And so at least the feeling of the football team and their capability gives me a little bit more encouragement. You'd have to see how the game went. It would be a bad loss for them, though. But I feel like must-win-wise, it just feels more of a must-win for Kansas City.
Well, it feels like a must-win for the Green Bay Packers going out to Dallas in terms of being able to bounce back after that performance. And I'm curious, Dano, because I made the comment earlier this week. I said that when it comes to the Packers offense, I want the aggressiveness to come from the play caller and not the quarterback. I'm curious to know from your perspective, can you coach a quarterback and an offense to the Super Bowl that way, or do the aggressive plays have to be at the discretion of the signal caller?
Both. You got to have a play caller that's aggressive. You got to have a quarterback that's aggressive.
Okay.
I don't think you could be great at that position, and I don't think you're going to be great in a playoff run if a quarterback's not being aggressive. Now, it's obviously always the fine line of aggression versus recklessness. Like I would say this, Jordan's interception last week was just immaturity. It was ignorance. It was dumb. It wasn't reckless because we've seen like the fadeaway one against the Rams. That's reckless. That pick six of last year. Last week was like, dude, what the heck? Do you remember the Josh Allen first game of the year 2 years ago when Aaron Rodgers got hurt? Yeah. And they lost to the Jets. Mm-hmm. And I remember watching the game and just being like, Josh, grow up. You like, someone in your building needs you to tell you to grow up. And I felt that same way about that interception last week by Jordan Love. Grow up, Jordan. The only way they lose that game is for him to give the ball to the only way. Like the Browns
offense did nothing.
It was 3rd and 3. We're running a play that you should be able to run, rolling out of bed, and you throw that interception. And as much as I love him and I picked him as MVP, that's got to be a pivotal moment for him to be like, dude, I can't make that play. I would much rather you try to force a ball on 3rd and 12 in a window between 3 players because you believe you can go cut that ball loose and throw it to the perfect place. I'd much rather have that pick than watching you throw a pick on 3rd and 3 backed up in your own end zone on an inside slant. That, for me, that's a pivotal moment to grow up. I think they boat race the Cowboys as they should, and the Cowboys are staring at a top 5 pick.
Yeah, Cece said that they're definitely looking at a high pick this year. So the Indianapolis Colts, Dan, didn't really expect to see them sitting there at 3-0. They have a big matchup this week versus the Rams. Yeah. What are you seeing out of Daniel Jones, and is it sustainable?
Is it sustainable is the most important question because the empirical data of Daniel Jones says no. But what we've seen out of the last 3 weeks, you hope for and you're encouraged by. The one thing that has changed is he has been historically very bad under pressure. And that was his case at Duke. And I remember the morning after the Giants drafted him doing a breakdown and being like this, when he